already drank that whole shake? This is Columbian colored man-made emerald, lab-created emerald. And this is a clean piece, and I'll use this for our design. And it weighs in at about 13.82 carats. Opie wants a square-shaped gemstone, and I have a lot of man-made emerald rough on hand currently. And the piece of rough I have is already in a square shape, so it's a perfect match for Opie. I still don't have an absolute favorite design for a square cut. I have a lot of contenders that I have cut, but still no go-to favorite. And I have cut a square design called Courtesan by Arya Akhavan in several other gem materials and different colors, but I haven't cut it in emerald. So I think I'll use Arya's design for this gemstone and see what I think of this design in emerald. Square designs are generally not difficult to cut, and again, since I've cut this design previously, I know it's no exception. It's not a difficult design. So I'll cut it and see what it looks like in emerald. Arya put this design into the Gemology Project website for any cutter to download and try. Thanks, Arya. Here's the website where you can find this design and all of the designs that Arya's put on the web, and many other designers. Okay, this is a square design. So our rough is kind of already pretty much preformed into a square design. So the way we want to put it into our machine is with one of the flat four corners being the 96, the 48, the 72, and the 24. So we want our stone to go in like that, not like that, right? So somewhere where the flat sides are at the 96, 24, 48, and 72. So we put our stone in the spindle. Now again, the key dot feature of the Ultratech, that rear part cut at a 45-degree angle, wants to put the stone in like this, and that key dot feature helps with round stones. We don't need it for square stone, but you don't have to use the key dot feature. You override it just by twisting the stone. It comes out a little bit of the spindle, but it doesn't make any difference, because once you get it where you want it, overriding the key dot feature, you tighten up the set screw and we're ready to start cutting, probably like that. Okay, with my 210 grit topper, I've preformed our emerald. I've got to bring the pavilion down just a little bit more to make a permanent center point here in the cullet, the bottom part of the pavilion. But the sides are where I need them. So the girdle's pretty well set. Stone's preformed, and now I'll go over it with my 600 grit topper and continue to cut our emerald. Okay, I'm going over the final line of instruction, or the P5 line of instruction on the pavilion with my 12M lap, which is about a 1500 grit lap. And this line of instruction will bring a facet down here and have a point touch this point right here. So there and there, there'll be 2 facets on each side, so 8 facets. So I'm gonna walk those down till they touch. Okay, so this was the first facet that I walked down, and it's just touching right there. So now I'll cut the other 8, which will put a facet there, and 2 on each side of the emerald, the 4 sides. So I don't need to make any further adjustments to my machine. It's all set up correctly, so I just have to cut the 7 remaining teeth on my index gear. Okay, so this is the first lap that I've used to cut this line of instruction, the P5. And that's because it cuts pretty fast. You don't need a rougher lap for some of these facets. You can usually wait until you've got one of your finer laps to work on some of these smaller facets. So, and they don't have to be perfect because I'm going to go over it again now with my 8000 grit diamond on a zinc lap and tighten up the facets a little bit more, which will give me a good pre-polish, and then I'll be ready to go to polish. Okay, I've pre-polished with my 6000 grit diamond on a zinc lap, and I brought the facets down to where they just meet at the girdle point. So now I'll start polishing the pavilion. I finished polishing the bottom half or pavilion of our emerald, so now I'm going to transfer the stone and start cutting the upper half. Okay, after I transfer my stone to cut the upper half of the stone, I want to reset it into my machine and make sure that the girdle's flush to align the top and the bottom properly. So the girdle was cut at the 96, the 24, the 48, and the 72 facet teeth, the index teeth. And so I put it on the 96 index tooth, and I set the angle at 90 degrees to make it level. And then I just run it down onto a precision block that comes with your Ultratech machine, and I put that on my flattest lap, which is my ceramic lap, and then I run the stone down until it touches the precision block. And what you want is to break the plane of the dot of that precision block all across the facet at the same time. So that means the facet is aligned. When you see the light underneath the block, between the block and the emerald, all across at the same exact time, you know your stone is aligned properly, and you can set your set screw and begin cutting the upper half of your stone. The upper half of the emerald came together very quickly, very nicely. I started with a 320 grit topper, and then I went to a 600, then to the 12M. Everything cut just great, and then I went to the 6000 grit diamond on a zinc lap. So now I'm ready to polish the upper half of the stone, and I'm going to use my 60,000 grit diamond on a zinc lap. It's coming along nicely. Had no problems polishing the upper half of our emerald, so now I just have to cut the table. So I'll set up my Ultratech machine to cut the table, polish the table, and then we'll be done with this gemstone. The table polished right up, so now I will soak the stone in acetone to get the adhesive off of it, and then we'll weigh it, measure it, and send it off to BOPIE. Today I cut a beautiful piece of man-made emerald into a square design called Courtesan. I think the final gemstone looks great, and now that I've cut this design several times in several different colors and different gem material, I can say that this design is a keeper. Although I'll continue to search for other square designs to cut in my continual quest for the best square design for me. If you have a favorite square design, please let me know in the comments. This design, like most all square designs, is not difficult, and in my opinion, any cutter could cut this design without difficulty, even a brand new cutter. Although I personally would recommend a brand new cutter start with a standard round brilliant first, and then move up to a square, but a step cut square. But if you decide to cut this design first, I don't think it will be any problem at all for you. Thanks again for the design, Arya. So please let me know in the comments what you think of this gemstone and the design, and as always, happy fasting, everyone.